Hey everyone, Diavolo here, the eternally dying, and today we are back for what is the next part of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo. Of course, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here, as it really helps in just pushing all of my content to a bunch of new amazing people. Walking through the Kyoto Museum of Emerging Science and Innovation, Mino can't understand why Usami is skirting the Ministry of Health's regulations. He brings up how the aliens might have pathogens or an infectious disease that could affect them in different ways. Usami thinks it's different though. He brings up how they know nothing about their religion, language, history, or culture. If they start treating them like a disease, the aliens could declare war on them in an instant. They don't understand how their biology works, and sending them a bunch of jacked up dudes could set them off. Pretty much, Usami feels like this all comes down to luck from here on out. Randomly, a nearby door opens and two aliens enter the room. Jabaloma, a Tengen-ass looking individual, introduces himself as a diplomatic envoy, and Cross, the dispatch officer. With a smile on his face, he extends his gratitude to the people of Earth for how kind they've been. Immediately caught off guard, Usami can't believe that they already know how to speak Japanese. Quickly calming himself back down, he welcomes the large Samurian and introduces himself as the acting Minister of Foreign Affairs. Deep in thought though, Mino can't understand how they already speak Japanese. He questions if they spoke English in America and why the Americans didn't inform them about it. Also mulling over the same thing, Usami assumes it's all on purpose. Ever since the treaty was set up, Japan has been uncooperative on all issues, so they can't expect the international community to help now. Plus, since the Samurians have learned their language, they have the upper hand when it comes to intel gathering. Putting that aside for now, Jabba asks if it's alright for another representative to be here, confusing Usami, who doesn't really understand why they'd even want to ask first. Jabba announces that it's because the concept of him being unarmed is meaningless. He exudes such an aura, they can't let him attend unless they first understand that he has no hostile intentions. Following this, a presence that shattered all expectations entered the room, drowning both Usami and Mino in a wave of pure disbelief and despair. Later on, after the meeting concludes, Mino can't relax himself. He knows how cooked the entire situation really is now. This being really is something on par with Ryomen Sukuna, a special grade demon. Also, I just have to mention, a special grade thing in general has such a wide spectrum of grading. Just because bro is considered on the same level as Sukuna doesn't necessarily mean he's stronger. Yuji and Yuta and a bunch of other people from day one were given the ranking, but over time they grew into something more extreme. So, you know, there's multiple rankings almost inside of special grade. The ranking of special grade to start with just means that they have the potential to be a global threat, not that they are yet one. Although I imagine the Samurians as a whole could be considered a global threat and something similar to Sukuna. I'd love to know your thoughts on all of it down below either way. I think 50,000 people rolling up to any country or any nation is a pretty massive threat. Anyways, Usami continues bringing up how easy it would be for them to take over their country if they really wanted to. The original plan of concealing the Samurian and letting them accompany Jujutsu sorcerers to school and on missions wouldn't have been such an issue if it ended with that. Still, he ends up assigning the Akutsu siblings to do the job, something Mino doesn't think is the greatest idea due to their age. Trying to calm him, Usami states that they aren't invaders, the aliens are refugees. Mino does see where he's coming from slightly. Sure, they fit the normal definition of a refugee, but he feels as if they're holding back some crucial details. Ever since the paranormal resolution 62 years earlier, or 6 years after Sukuna's defeat, Japan has been pretty satisfied with how it's all played out, and even joined in a surge of nationalism that was growing in the US at the time. They cannot repeat those same mistakes, and their current diplomacy style is superficial, based on formalities alone. If they keep up the current path, both sides will end up in a sort of flexing war as they show off what they can do until eventually the worst case scenario plays out: war. Unable to disagree with his sentiment, Usami knows that war is the one thing that must be avoided at all costs. They have to strive for true harmony. As adults, it's super hard for them to open up their hearts to the Samurians, and that's why they need the spirit of the new generation. Mino, not really expecting him to drop that bomb right there, double checks that they really are going to entrust the entire fate of Japan and the world to a couple of teenagers. Elsewhere, Yuki tells her brother he's making a stupidly large leap to think that aliens have arrived on Earth. Tsurugi can't shake it though. Ever since the security treaty, all diplomatic missions with aliens has been the responsibility of Japan. Which makes me question, has there been other aliens that have come to Earth ever since? Or are just massively strong Jujutsu sorcerers called aliens, I guess, in the greater scheme of things to the outer world? According to what the kidnapper said, aliens are being treated as special grade on par with Ryum and Sukuna. Even though the kidnapper was trash as hell, they can still kind of trust his judgment. The Japanese human trafficking business is absolutely massive, generating billions each year. Yet, the kidnapper was going to just quit because of the incoming invasion. Tsurugi assumes that if a bad guy like him is really quitting, then it has to be serious. Plus, he reminds her that she also saw it for herself, just how different Maru was. Yuka jokes that there are a bunch of weirdos out there, however, Tsurugi can't get over how the dude literally has a third eye on his forehead looking like Tien. I wonder if they've seen Dragon Ball Z as well and we'll get some like Tien reference at some point. Either way, sadly, they can't just go and check if he really is an alien due to how Asami has introduced Maru to them as an inspector from a state party of the security treaty. Even if he was an alien, Tsurugi knows they aren't exactly going to share vital information with grunts like them. Like previously, Yuka doesn't mean to actually check with Usami, and kind of just wants to sneak off. Still, Tsurugi finds it all pointless, not to mention that he doesn't even trust Maru yet. Bringing up someone Yuka knows he can trust though, she reminds him of the kidnapper, someone who might have a bit more knowledge in store. Moments later, we find the duo meeting with that said kidnapper in a secure location. Turns out, the kids had to go full on rickroll Mino and lie to him about the perp carrying an explosive in order to quickly get inside and talk to him. Inside of the truck, and after a few verbal jabs from either side, the kidnapper, who we still don't know his freaking name, is asked for the info on how he knew about the aliens in the first place. According to him, basically any information managed digitally will become leaked, especially those from government offices that are scrambling to fix their systems after the AI regulations were put in place. That's who this freaking man reminds me of. A little bit like Charles from during the Culling game. Honestly, I might just call him Charles from here on out until we get his name. Probably will never get his name. But, well, he goes to continue on his alien strain. But Yuka cuts his ass off, unable to believe the entire premise surrounding aliens being real. Stunned, since bro assumes pretty much all Jujutsu sorcerers knew about them, he questions how people who already work with the paranormal every day are at the same time denying the reality of it. Only wanting a little bit of confirmation that they are really here, Charles indulges the siblings, letting them in on the fact that 50,000 Samurians are floating above them as we speak. Tsurugi immediately finds the idea that an entire football stadium could be right above them with no one noticing, but the man thinks it has to be a sort of barrier technique akin to the curtain. If not that, then some advanced alien tech that they have no idea about yet. Either way, since they've travelled through space, he assumes that they can probably be self-sufficient to a degree on the ship. Eventually though, they have to hit a limit and resupply. And according to him, it's happening tomorrow at 8 PM in the Kurumayama Highlands. If the barrier technique's visual effects make the ship visible, then maybe it might weaken enough for them to notice it while the supplies are being loaded on. Having drained bro for like all of his info, the siblings leave, quickly telling Mino outside that it's now safe to enter the truck. Walking off together, Yuka says that it went pretty well, but Rugi lets her know it may seem like that, but to the adults controlling the intel, what they've done is basically treason. After all, they know what happens to curse users who commit horrible crimes, so it's likely all the dude wanted to do was cause a commotion, then escape without anyone noticing. Flashing forward 24 hours or so, just before 8 PM in the Kurumayama Highlands, the siblings slowly make their way through the humid and damp forest on their way to the top of the mountain. Noticing his sister watching his ring hanging around his neck, Rugi clutches it and tells her he's not given it back yet. The three clans all treated Maki as if she was some sort of failure, but she never gave up and destroyed them all with her true power. A statement that Yuka finds wild since she literally massacred the entire clan over a few minutes. That being said, Rugi announces that he wants to be just as powerful as her one day. Pondering on this and her own ideals, Yuka feels like they are both chasing after their own version of the truth. She wanted him to give back the ring, and this entire time, he's always wanted to give it back to her. She questions if perhaps that's why they wanted to get stronger, but as she strolls out of the tree line, realizes that no, it's not that at all. Looking up as a torrent of air rushes over them, both of the siblings stare at the monolithic-sized spaceship floating directly overhead. This is the special grade case on par with Ryum and Sukuna, someone their grandparents were only just able to defeat in the past. Tsurugi isn't sure why they've come to Earth now, but no matter what happens here, it's up to them as Jujutsu sorcerers to take care of it. Both of their grandparents have passed on, and they know they won't stand a chance the way they are now. So, while staring up at the future that's laid out ahead of them, the siblings promise to become just like them, Maki Zenin and Yuta Rikotsu. Elsewhere, and with Yuji as an alien, like I can't get over the fact they seem like really similar characters to me. Well, he bumps into Cross, his older brother. Without even looking back at him, Cross tells him to go back and stay with the Earthlings. Maru tries to understand why. He can tell from who he's met so far that there are good and bad people here, just like on their home planet. Cross gets this as well, but he reiterates that unless their ideas of what's good and bad are the same, it's meaningless, and it's not for Maru to decide. Plus, currently the matter has split opinions, either they coexist or invade. Maru quickly objects, yet his brother reminds him of his job as a warrior. He needs to spend more time with the humans, then present his evidence for consideration. For now, he's got his own work to do and doesn't want to be bothered. Maru tries to get him to stop working for a moment and have some breakfast together in the morning, bringing up how the sorcerers showed him some nice places around town. Again though, he's shut down as he's told he's busy. Elsewhere, and failing to scan himself into the subway station, Tsurugi realizes his cooked ass forgot to link his student pass and quickly tells Yuka to head off without him. Sometime later, atop a random rooftop overlooking the city, Tsurugi finds who he thinks is Maru and tells him he should probably walk back slightly. If anyone sees him from below, they'll call the cops thinking he's kermicidal. He goes to question what rules he has on his planet, but is told to shut up before the alien then darts off. Standing there, utterly confused with what the hell just happened, Tsurugi starts getting mad, unable to understand what's wrong with Maru. Obviously the difference between Maru and Cross are the cheek markings if you haven't noticed. Maru has a more musical type of semi-quaver design, whereas Cross just has that dot in the middle, but both of them either way have similar markings around the outside. Can be confusing for sure, and I'd imagine it will be as we continue on throughout the series. Either way, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here, but for now it's been your professional degenerate Diavolo, and I will see you all in a bit. Bye.